Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving Southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. People who didn't enroll for insurance under the Affordable Care Act are now coming face to face with the penalties they owe.
I talked to a woman just the other day who was looking at an $835 fine based upon her income, and her income was not high.
And millions of people could be in the same situation. Cremations are projected to outnumber burials this year for the first time ever.
The value that people are putting on the funeral service and actually having the body present is not as important to the newer generation.
This is opening the door for new methods of body disposal, including something known as alkaline hydrolysis. You might know it as chemical cremation, but it's illegal. Ahead inside the controversy and why lawmakers are pushing to legalize the process. Those stories and the latest news headlines from across the state right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. The president was in town today to tout his plan for offering community college free to students for 2 years. Millions of people's personal information is at risk because of a cyber attack at Indianapolis-based Anthem. And it's been a busy week at the State House as legislators considered everything from stripping power away from the state superintendent to allowing employers to make hiring decisions based on religion. We'll get to all of that coming up in headlines. But first, filing taxes is getting even more complicated for millions of Americans this year. People who fail to get health insurance under the Affordable Care Act must pay a penalty. And even those who enrolled could owe the government money. Barbara Harrington explains who's being impacted and what it will mean for their bank accounts.
I wear a lot of hats.
Between flipping eggs as the executive chef at an Indiana University sorority and owning her own food truck, Jackie Howard doesn't have much time to rest.
Definitely on my feet, running constantly.
Going non-stop caused Howard to hurt her back last year. She was forced to take more than 3 weeks off work, and she had to pay significant out-of-pocket expenses for medical care because she doesn't have insurance.
Darcy.
Howard qualifies for insurance on the federal marketplace, but when she logged on last year and tried to sign up for coverage,
I found that it was going to cost me a little over $300 a month to have health insurance, which is basically all the extra money I have in a given month.
So she rolled the dice, but now, in addition to the bills she's still paying off, she's facing a new expense, a penalty on her taxes.
It's going to cost me about $400. That's about 1/3 to 1/2 of my typical refund, which is a huge hit. I mean, like most people, I take that refund and make big purchases, or most years it's actually my savings.
The H&R Block in Stanford is just as busy as the highway it sits next to, helping customers like Howard. Tax preparer Lee Lincoln says lots of folks have come through their doors with questions about how much not getting health care coverage is going to cost them.
People didn't know how much the penalty was going to be. Most of them were told it's $95, but that would be $95 for every person in your tax household, or 1% of your income, whichever's higher. So a lot of people that made $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, they may have $500, $1,000 penalties potentially.
But the Congressional Budget Office estimates about 23 million of the uninsured won't have to pay. There are a number of exemptions. Among them, people who don't make enough money to file a tax return don't have to pay the penalty. Neither do those who have an income below 138% of the federal poverty level, as long as they're ineligible for Medicaid. People who pay an insurance premium that exceeds 8% of their income are also exempt.
There's a long list of others that are a little more arcane. I would say out in the counties here, where there's a lot of farmers and such, a lot of people working factories or low-paying jobs, most of them are not going to pay the penalty.
But some of the exemptions are only good for this year. For example, people who had problems signing up because of website issues might not have to pay, but they won't be able to rely on the same exemption for the 2015 tax year, when penalties double. The fees will increase to $325 for each uninsured adult or 2% of a person's income, whichever is greater. And that's a lot of money for people who say they can't afford insurance.
I talked to a woman just the other day who was looking at an $835 fine based upon her income, and her income was not high.
Cover Monroe President David Meyer says that's why the ACA volunteers of Monroe County are making a big push to get people covered by February 15th, when the open enrollment period ends. Those who aren't insured by the deadline will face penalties on their 2015 taxes.
We're asking them to do three things, and that is, first, find out how much it would cost for you to get health insurance. I mean, do it immediately. So you figure out what is the value, what is the financial equation, what will it really cost me? The second point is find out whether you're exempt from coverage. And the third question is, what will be my penalty? What will I have to pay if I don't get coverage?
Meyer says once people have all of that information, it all comes down to one question: what's more valuable to each individual, health insurance or expendable income? That's a question Howard's been asking herself a lot as the deadline for open enrollment approaches.
I'm reconsidering getting health insurance. I can't decide. I still can't afford it at over $300 a month. But the next year the penalty doubles, and that could potentially be my entire refund, and it's a big decision to make.
Cover Monroe has several events next week to help people sign up for coverage through the federal marketplace. The Congressional Budget Office estimates about 30 million non-elderly residents will still be uninsured in 2016. Now for headlines, we go over to Alex Dirkman, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thank you, Joe. During a town hall meeting today in Indianapolis, President Obama continued to push his proposals to provide free college tuition to students with at least a 2.5 GPA. The president used Ivy Tech as a backdrop for his speech. Students who were invited to the town hall got to ask questions about the plan Obama says will help prepare the future workforce for higher paying jobs. Obama is touring the country to try and gain support for his proposal. While he touts it as a bipartisan effort, it has gotten a cool response from Republicans who control the House and the Senate. The State Department of Insurance says Anthem is taking all the right measures after a cybersecurity attack exposed millions of people's names, birth dates, addresses, and social security numbers. Anthem is working with the FBI and contacting all affected customers. The health insurance company also launched a website with a list of frequently asked questions regarding the attack. An Indiana University cybersecurity expert says there are likely attempted cyber attacks on hundreds of insurance companies every day. This one just happened to be successful.
On the other hand, Anthem is the second largest insurance company in the United States. If you're engaging in a criminal enterprise, you know, why do you rob banks? That's where the money is. If you're going to break into someone's very sophisticated system to try to get data out of it, wouldn't you want to go to the system that had 80 million records than one that only had 80,000 records?
Fred Kate says hacking into large company databases is becoming more common. He cites the recent attacks on Target, Home Depot, and Chase. 18,000 Hoosiers have applied for HIP 2.0 1 week after the state announced the rollout of the expanded health insurance program that's serving as an alternative to traditional Medicaid. State officials estimate 357,000 Hoosiers will sign up for HIP 2.0 in 2015, and another 161,000 will enroll next year, with enrollment largely leveling off after that. Speaking to a group of healthcare professionals at Eskenazi Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana Family and Social Services Administration Secretary John Wernert said approximately 180,000 people were immediately enrolled when Governor Mike Pence announced federal approval last week. Those people were already enrolled in other health insurance programs, such as the original Healthy Indiana Plan. The author of legislation that would allow religious and faith-based organizations to hire employees based on religion says the measure is not a license to discriminate. Senator Travis Holdman's bill says organizations with a religious background that have contracts with the state or local governments, such as universities, child care facilities, and hospitals, can make hiring decisions based on religion. Holdman says the legislation is within federal law, but opponents fear it will make the state vulnerable to lawsuits. The measure passed mostly along party lines and now moves to the House. Duke Energy is requesting approval to charge customers additional fees for costs associated with its Edwardsport coal gasification plant. When it was proposed in 2006, the plant was expected to cost nearly $2 billion. But as Gretchen Frazee reports, the final cost totaled to $3.5 billion.
In hearings that began this week, Duke Energy asked the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission to let it recover hundreds of millions of dollars in additional costs it incurred from April 2013 to March 2014. At issue is whether the plant was already operational at the time. A previous legal settlement put a cap on the construction costs Duke Energy could pass on to ratepayers, but it allows the company to recover operational expenses. Consumer advocacy groups, including the Citizens Action Coalition and the State Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, argue Duke Energy should absorb much of the cost.
We're saying that there are costs here that should not be recovered because the plant wasn't ready for prime time. We're talking about testing costs and startup costs.
The Citizens Action Coalition is also asking the Regulatory Commission to open an investigation into the operation and performance of the Edwardsport plant, which was touted as a cleaner source of energy production.
This is nothing but a dirty coal plant that is emitting more carbon dioxide and putting our state at a greater risk and liability for any future costs associated with carbon.
But Duke Energy officials say consumers need to look at the big picture when it comes to how the plant is operating.
When you build something on this scale, using this technology, it's going to take some time to work out issues. What's important, though, is that the plant's operations have been improving, and we believe that it will be one of the lowest cost plants, if not the lowest cost and most efficient plant on our system.
A decision on the rate increase is not expected for several months.
Indiana will receive $21.5 million as part of a settlement with Standard & Poor's. Attorneys from 19 states allege Standard & Poor's inflated the credit ratings of security investments, so the numbers didn't represent the investment's true risks. Investors lost billions when the value of those assets declined. Most of the money Indiana receives will go to the state's general fund. A state court of appeals panel says the Department of Natural Resources does not have the authority to ban high-fenced hunting preserves. A 3-judge panel ruled 2-1 that the DNR overstepped its authority when it attempted to ban the preserves in 2005. Wildlife officials in several states criticized the preserves, blaming them in part for the spread of chronic wasting disease among farm-raised deer, which are sometimes sold to preserves across state lines. The disease has not appeared in Indiana. About 30,000 Hoosiers will be getting refunds from the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles in the coming weeks. The refunds will go to Hoosiers who were overcharged for mobile home titles and for not having proof of insurance. Those refunds are expected to total about $2 million. BMV officials say they also undercharged thousands of customers, costing the state about $13 million. The state has paid about $60 million over the last 2 years for other BMV mistakes. A bill working its way through the Indiana State Senate would help expand Bloomington's transit system to include the entire Monroe County area. The proposed bill would give the Monroe County Council permission to impose a county economic development income tax to fund the expansion. The bill passed a Senate committee this week. Indiana University is considering whether to outfit police on all of its campuses with body cameras. A committee comprised of students, faculty, law enforcement, and experts is studying the costs as well as the controversy surrounding the use of body cameras. That includes evaluating safety, legal, and privacy concerns. The committee plans to issue a recommendation by May. There has been increased interest in body cameras since the shooting death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. 18 and 19-year-old girls are increasingly being pulled into the amateur porn industry through websites such as Craigslist. These teens are often looking for quick money, but they end up being deceived and exploited. Indiana University professor Debbie Herbenek provided research to a team of producers who premiered a documentary titled Hot Girls Wanted at last week's Sundance Film Festival. The film follows several women who go into amateur porn. Herbenek says the documentary gives a never-before-seen look at the type of pornography being produced today.
There have been peeks into very mainstream porn and very fringe types of porn, but not something like this, which is really what is commonly and freely available right now on the internet to so many people.
The documentary didn't receive any awards at Sundance, but was picked up by Netflix. Bloomington's first distillery is opening this weekend. Cardinal Spirits has a soft opening planned for Saturday and Sunday for invited guests only. It opens to the general public Monday. Co-founder Adam Quirk says it's taken years of planning to get the business off the ground.
There's a pretty rich tradition of distillation in Indiana. Before Prohibition, there was dozens of distilleries. And so now we're kind of reviving that tradition. We're using the old traditional methods, but we're using really modern technology to create, I think, what we feel is like a finer spirit.
The distillery will offer vodka cocktails when it opens and will release gin and other liquors once they've had time to distill. Because, Joe, as you probably know, drinks like whiskey take years to ferment before they're ready to drink.
Well, and this is exactly what city officials wanted, economic development right along the Beeline Trail.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yes. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. It'll take students 12+ hours to complete this year's standardized tests. Parents and educators are outraged. Our StateImpact team explains how we got there. And will Indiana legalize a new form of cremation? Alkaline hydrolysis is considered a more environmentally friendly option. What then is behind the controversy? These stories right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
We believe in the excitement of exploration. That life offers each of us adventures that are ours for the taking. We believe that children are born explorers who need trusted guides on their journeys of discovery. We believe in breaking new ground and in challenging assumptions. That important questions deserve to be explored deeply, fairly, and honestly. And we believe that who you are and where you come from should never stand in the way of what you want to be. This is who we are. This is what we believe. This is PBS.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. This year's state standardized test for 3rd through 8th graders will take twice as long to complete as it did last year. That means students could spend up to 12.5 hours testing. In our StateImpact education segment, Claire McInerney explains what's causing the change.
Parent after parent testified before the State Board of Education this week to argue why they think testing kids for so long is detrimental.
I want you to tell me why she's going to skip music and art and PE and reading and all the stuff she absolutely loves so that she can sit in a one-to-one situation with a teacher that is going to administer another test and another test and another test.
It's obvious to those who practice on a daily basis that the current effort and time spent on this assessment does nothing to support or enhance the education of our students.
It's kind of like you shoot yourself in the foot and wonder why you can't dance.
Here are how the testing times break down by grade. As you can see, on average, the time a student will sit and complete the I-STEP was around 5 hours last year. This year, it's between 11 and 12 hours. Those numbers will be higher at schools where students take the practice assessment, which tests how the technology of the test is functioning. The current situation can be traced back to when Governor Pence pulled Indiana out of the Common Core academic standards. The state had to write its own standards, and because Indiana is a state with a No Child Left Behind waiver, we must follow federal guidelines that say we will test our students every year on the standards teachers use. Since these are new standards, a new test was written to match them. This test will be used in future years, so to make sure this is a functional test that accurately tests the standards, both the DOE and CTB McGraw-Hill wrote a lot of questions to gather data about the test. Some sample questions are online, and you can see it's not all multiple choice anymore. The section of the test where students have to show work or complete writing prompts is longer. And of course, writing out an answer rather than shading in a bubble takes more time. The good news is next year tests will have fewer questions, so the time it takes for a student to complete should be closer to what they're used to.
The testing window begins at the end of February for some schools, so educators don't have much time to ease the shock. But the State Board of Education did extend the testing windows for both parts of the I-STEP by 5 days, and 2 days were added to the third grade I-read window. Cremations could outpace traditional burials by next year, and as cremation increases, people are looking for greener options. A machine manufactured here in Indiana liquefies body tissue rather than burning it. But in the majority of states, including Indiana, the process is illegal. Sarah Fenton reports on the controversy and efforts at the State House to legalize chemical cremation.
Visitors come from all over the world to see Joe Wilson's factory in Danville, Indiana. In this solar-powered facility, workers spend months building a single machine that's used for a process called alkaline hydrolysis. It's known popularly by a lot of different names, including chemical cremation.
The word chemical gives people the wrong impression of it.
Wilson takes issue with the term. For one thing, he says because there's no flame involved, alkaline hydrolysis shouldn't be called cremation, and the chemicals used in the process are natural.
The chemicals used in here are actually alkali, and they're derived from natural elements of salt water. And so it's really a catalyst, and it's the same thing that's used in decomposition.
Here's how it works. Instead of a traditional cremation, which incinerates a body with a furnace, alkaline hydrolysis uses water and chemicals to dissolve human remains inside a large drum. The water mixture is then heated to about 350 degrees for about 4 hours. At the end of the process, all that's left are bones and a sterile, thick mixture that is safe to be washed down the drain. As in traditional cremation, the bones are then ground down and returned to the person's family as ashes. The machines Wilson uses for the process are manufactured here in Indiana, and while he can sell the equipment, facilities here can't use it. Alkaline hydrolysis is illegal in 39 states, including Indiana. A new bill before the state legislature would legalize alkaline hydrolysis and require the State Board of Funeral and Cemetery Service to adopt rules that would regulate the process. The Indiana Funeral Directors Association hasn't taken a stance on alkaline hydrolysis. Director Curtis Rostad says the association's main concern is that the process is regulated.
It's just a matter of knowing who's doing this, how it's being done, where it's being done. So we do have to change our laws to accommodate it.
Rostad says some people oppose the process on religious grounds. He says if a religion doesn't support cremation, it wouldn't support alkaline hydrolysis. He also notes the concept of dissolving a loved one's body with chemicals just might not sit well with some people.
To some people, let's use the word, it's yucky. And they have to get used to that idea.
But proponents of the new process say there isn't much of a difference between that icky process and traditional cremation methods.
It's the difference between exposing the body to a flame or exposing them to hot water. And so in both cases, you're going to consume the body down to a skeleton.
Butler says alkaline hydrolysis fits into a growing national trend. More people than ever are choosing alternative burials.
The value that people are putting on the funeral service and actually having the body present is not as important to the newer generation.
The National Funeral Directors Association estimates 47% of consumers chose cremation in 2014. That's compared with just 10% in 1980. The NFDA predicts this year will be the first in which cremation surpasses traditional burials. Butler's organization is backing the process because he says it's better for the environment. Alkaline hydrolysis uses less energy and releases fewer chemical emissions than traditional cremation. Back in Danville, Joe Wilson walks through his factory. Anticipating a big growth in business, he spent more than $1 million in 2013 to expand this space. Wilson says it's time Indiana's legislatures approve the process.
It's very, very important that our state that I grew up in and where we built our plant allows this like the 11 other states that already do.
This isn't the first time a bill has been introduced that would legalize alkaline hydrolysis, but in the past it's failed to gain any traction. If legislators approve the bill this session, it could still be cost prohibitive. The technology is a lot more expensive than what's used in traditional cremation. Indiana's bald eagle population is on the rise, and naturalists say they have every reason to believe it will continue to grow. The state had no bald eagle nest for most of the 20th century, but in 1989, Hoosier conservationists dedicated themselves to revitalizing the bird's population growth. Wildlife experts say there now are more than 250 nesting pairs of eagles in Indiana.
If we keep our water and our air as clean of the pesticides and other issues that caused them problems in the past, then the eagles will take advantage of the kind of habitat that was created with the creation of all the reservoirs in the state and on the river systems, and they will continue to grow in numbers.
The Indiana DNR plans to continue monitoring the bird's population growth for at least the next few years. Well, that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.